I would not have recognized you on the street.
Must have had a meeting or something.
Yeah, no, it was all this COVID. I have to fit a mask
Oh,
to my,
Gotta get the mask on.
yeah.
I got it, man.
Well, it says we're now streaming live on YouTube, so I guess I might as well convene the meeting, huh? If people are watching. So I'll call to order the Washington County Planning Board and Board of Adjustment meetings for June 11th, 2020. Juliana, you there to do a roll call?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Randy Laney,
Yes.
Philip Humbard,
Yes.
Walter Jennings,
Yes.
Joel Kelsey,
Yes.
Robert Dowdy,
Yes.
Jay Piercy,
Yes.
Neil Helm.
My screen says he's trying to connect, so we'll check on Neil in a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'll go ahead and share.
Thank you for that. If you had an opportunity to review the agendas, well, no, I need the minutes first. Approval of minutes of May 7th, both meetings. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and second by Philip. Juliana, if you didn't get that. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? There being none. All right, agendas. We have the adjustment agenda and the planning board agenda. Any changes to those, Nathan?
No, sir. The agenda is as published and it's in the correct order.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve it?
So be it.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
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 Is there any opposed? There being none. Okay, I don't know if we have any or how many guests we have so online. So I'll review our process quickly. I'll call upon somebody from the planning staff to review the particular project that's on the agenda at that moment. We will hear their presentation, then we will field questions from the planning board. And then after that, we'll open it up for comments from the public. And we try to organize that in such a way that those who want to speak, ask questions other than the proponent of the project can go first. Then the proponent of the project wants to answer those questions and or make comments. They can do that in a second after they finish their comments. And we're trying to limit the comments to 3 minutes because of the limitations of doing this via Zoom. So without further ado, we'll go to, you want to do the planning board first or Board of Adjustment first? Nathan, do you have any preference?
Board of Adjustments, sir, to be a variance.
Okay. Variance hearing on Fayetteville Planning Area Bridgewater Lane preliminary subdivision variance. Sita.
Let me unmute myself.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. The Bridgewater Lane preliminary subdivision variance request is located in the northeastern part of the county. And it is within the city of Fayetteville's planning area. Here's a close-up of the parcel, which is on the southwestern corner of Bridgewater Lane and Oakland Zion. So the applicant's main project is to develop a 6-parcel subdivision known as Bridgewater Lane subdivision. And here's kind of a close-up of what the applicant is proposing in terms of lots. Section 11-88, residential lot and block standards for subdivisions, states that the minimum frontage for each lot must be 75 feet. The applicant is requesting this be reduced to 35 feet for 4 of the 6 proposed lots. Lots 1 through 3 contain floodplain, as seen here in blue. which is for the most part unbuildable. To allow each future owner to maximize the use of their lots, the applicant is proposing 35-foot frontage for lots 2 through 5. These lots will have shared driveways, shown here in yellow, and that will help to also minimize the amount of curb cutouts on Bridgewater Lane, meaning there'll be shared driveways for lots 2 and 3 and a shared driveway for lots 4 and 5. Any questions?
No.
I'd also point out.
See, I got one in reference to fire. What are they going to
Yes.
do about ingress and egress as far as the fire department in case something happens there with just those entries?
The roads will still have to be built to standard.
Okay.
So they won't just, they still have to be compacted. It still has to be able to support the bigger vehicles.
So all you're asking us to address tonight is this variance request. It'll come back
Yes.
later when it's fully developed.
Yes.
All right.
Is there any other questions of the board? Moderator, do we have any public comment? No hands up from the public?
Yes, I tried to raise my hand. Can you hear me?
Yes, just state your name and what
Okay.
your relationship is to the project.
Thank you. My name's Colleen Gaston. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of myself, my husband, Roger Montgomery, and our neighbors, Terry and Sherry Payton. And my husband and I live at 3270 North Rum Orchard Road, and the Paytons live at 3845 Bridgewater Lane. And
Okay,
the Payton's property is contiguous along the entire west side of the subject property. And then the southwest corner of the subject property is with 200 feet of my husband's and my property. And you see on the plat that's up there before you, Mud Creek runs inside the western edge of the subject property. It's a tributary of the Illinois River, and as you probably know, it flows alongside one of Fayetteville's well-used bike trails.
Let me jump in for just a second, please, and I do apologize for interrupting. But this is just for the variance for street frontage. The subdivision is going to be heard here in a few minutes.
Oh, I didn't realize.
This is just for the variance for the street frontage.
unless you want to address the variance that's been requested. That's
No, I will say I have no objection to the variance, but in exchange for the variance,
okay. I don't know if we lost your connection, but thank you, and we'll get to you in just a minute when we get to the subdivision.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I don't see anybody else.
Okay. Did the board, what's your pleasure regarding this variance? Entertain a motion if somebody can go off mute.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the variance in
Thank you.
reference to Bridgewater Lane.
Okay, motion and second. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, there being none, we'll go over then to the Washington County Planning Board agenda. And
At this time, sir, I think we should adjourn the zoning board meeting and then reconvene the planning board.
yeah, okay, we'll adjourn that and then we're reconvening as the planning board. I was looking down, Bridgewater is item C if you're still on the phone, so it'll be just a minute before we get to that. Okay, let's go to item A, Shane and Sarah Helmer minor subdivision. Nick?
Yes, sir. Let me share my screen here real quick. All right. Ooh, get back. All right. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
All right. So this is the Shane and Sarah Helmer minor subdivision. The site is located just north of Prairie Grove. near the central portion of the county. The subject property is on the north side of Viney Grove Road, Washington County 37. It's located just west of the intersection of Viney Grove Road and Dock Hall Road, Washington County 630. Here's the site plan from Castor and Associates Land Surveyors. The applicant is requesting a minor subdivision in order to split a 3.09 acre parcel into 3 1.03 acre tracts. Proposed tract 2, the center tract, has an existing single-story brick home. The applicant plans to build single-family homes on the other tracts and eventually sell them off. Granny, there we go. This is the location of proposed tract 1. That is the westernmost tract. Here's tract 2 with the existing home. And that is tract 3, the eastern tract. Site distance looking left from the existing home's driveway is adequate. And site distance looking right from the driveway is also adequate. Planning staff has reviewed the submitted plans and recommends approval of the Sarah and Shane Helmer preliminary and final minor subdivision with conditions. The conditions have not changed since the time of the staff report.
Thank you, Nick. Is there any questions from the board at this point?
Has Prairie Groves looked at this project, or did they have any input?
No, sir. It was outside of their planning area. It's just on the other side of the.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Is there any hands up from the public?
No hands up.
All right. Thank you. All right. What's your pleasure? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the Shane and Sarah Helmer minor subdivision with staff recommendations.
Second.
Second.
Second, Jay. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Being none. Okay, team challenge pre-large scale development. This is you, Nathan. We've been here, done this, haven't we?
We have. They have come through several years ago with their conditional use permit and a couple of years ago with the large scale for a couple of dorms.
Yeah.
Due to financing reasons, they put that on hold, and then there's an expiration date on large scale if they don't ever activate the project. So they're coming back through with the same dorms in a different location on the property, and the water would actually flow to a more beneficial area where it's at right now for fire protection. And so I'll get into it. Team Challenge Adventure Ranch is an addiction treatment center located in the southwest portion of the county, just outside Morrow. Make sure I'm getting these in the right direction here. Access off Boys Home Road, Washington County Road 431. The Team Challenge occupies 2 parcels totaling approximately 33 acres. CUP approval in 2008 and has been slowly building the facility into the treatment center we see there today. They came through the planning board a couple years ago with plans to construct 2 additional dormitories and were approved, but their plans were delayed. It wasn't the same 2 dormitories in a different location on the property. This map shows the subject property outlined in red. Here's the site plan, but I'll enlarge it a little. The subject property is outlined here in red. All the required checklist items have been met with exception to soil work requirements and some minor labeling issues. Deficiencies are reflected in the conditions of approval. But then, just at the very end of the day, I was corrected. And we have only submitted soil work on 1 of the buildings instead of 2, but they only plan on building 1 building at a time, and they will come back through with soil work on the second one in 1 to 3 years once they raise the money to build the second dorm. So far, just one building at a time. Location of the 2 proposed dormitories is circled here with the blue dashed line, and I'll enlarge that a little bit. And during tech review, planning staff and other jurisdictional reviewers identified a number of deficiencies on the plan and communicated these deficiencies back to the project engineer. The engineer resubmitted plans addressing all the deficiencies, and the soil work submitted is for a 2-bedroom home, but then we also have soil work for the 18-bedroom dormitory. So we're good to go as far as soil work goes on the single dorm. A full soil work submittal will be required as a condition of approval for the subsequent dormitory in a couple of years. The septic permits on file, these allude to what I was mentioning right here, where my mouse is pointing. 18 residents on the one and the 2 on the other. And so indeed, I've been through the health department, the DR, and the applicant, and these septic permits are sufficient for the first dorm. Each of the 2 proposed dormitories has 18 student bedrooms, and I will show those here. And they have 3 staff bedrooms shown here in blue. The fire marshal is responsible for reviewing the floor plans for compliance with Arkansas State Fire Code. The existing dormitory and these proposed dormitories require a fire suppression sprinkler system for fire protection, but the water supply at this location is not sufficient for firefighting purposes, since it only has a 2-inch water main. And so back when the team built the first dormitory and their cafeteria, their new life center, they constructed this retention pond to store the water required for the fire sprinkler system. And it was constructed much larger than they needed at that time for the dormitory, with the plan to construct additional dormitories in the future. And that time has come, and Teen Challenge Adventure Ranch is preparing to construct and expand into these additional proposed dormitories as soon as they can secure approval and funding. Since no new entries or exits are proposed at this time, just new buildings, there's no need to evaluate site distance again. However, this is the view from the Teen Challenge entrance going to the west, and the site distance is adequate as well to the east. And all neighbors within 300 feet of the subject property's exterior property line were notified by certified mail of this proposed expansion, and no public comments have been received. So planning staff has reviewed the submitted plans, conferred with the jurisdictional reviewers, and has determined the plans meet the requirements for preliminary development approval with these following conditions. Conditions have been updated since the time of the staff reports, and but they have been updated with information needed for that soil work submittal. But like I said, just before the end of the day, just before the meeting, really, the phone with the applicant. And so I'll need to go back through and edit a couple of these conditions, but simply to reflect that the second dormitory will be coming in the future, and they don't need to submit soil work on the second dormitory until that time. And I'll take any questions you have. Otherwise, staff recommends approval on Teen Challenge preliminary large scale development expansion. Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
Let me get everyone here.
All right. Anybody, any hands up, Sita? Or are you the one doing that, or Julianne? Any public?
I don't see any hands up, sir.
No
Okay.
hands up.
Thank you, Juliana. All right, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second for approval of Teen Challenge large scale development. Any further questions? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. All right, now to Bridgewater.
Next up, we have CETA.
All righty. Here we go. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, the Bridgewater Pulmonary Subdivision request is located within the northeast portion of the county. It's right outside of the city of Fayetteville, and it is within the city of Fayetteville's planning area. Here's kind of the area that the project parcel is in. Here's a close-up. Applicant is represented by Craft and Toll. They would like to develop the 17-acre parcel into a 6 subdivision lots that range from 1.5 acres to 4 acres in size. The proposed subdivision is approximately a quarter mile away from the city of Fayetteville. And being that this project is in the city planning area, it had to be reviewed and approved by the city's planning commission. The project went before the city of Fayetteville Planning Commission on Monday, June 8th, and it was approved. So the smaller pink circle represents a half-mile buffer, and the outer orange circle represents a mile. This is just to show you what other subdivision developments are in the area. Along the western side of lots 1 through 3 is Mud Creek and a lot of floodplain. The applicant has configured its lots in this manner to be able to utilize as much of their lots to be as livable as possible for their potential new owners. To avoid building in the floodplain, the applicant has stated that it will not build along the western side of Mud Creek. So no houses will be built along that western side. The frontage for lots 2 through 5 are 35 feet instead of the required 75 feet. The applicant's request for a variance for this was approved earlier. Thank you. Lots 2 to 3, again, shall share a driveway, and lots 4 and 5 shall share a driveway. And this will all help the future owner to utilize their lots for more potential living space. Designated representative from the Department of Health conducted a soil analysis for each potential lot, and each lot was found suitable for septic. Permits will have to be submitted to the Arkansas Department of Health before any septic systems may be installed, and the applicant is aware that any areas designated for septic lines must be undisturbed at the time of construction. Staff conducted a site visit on May 20th. And while there, we did not note anything of concern. It's a very quiet neighborhood. Different view. On May 28th, a total of 15 notifications were, can you hear me? There we go. Sorry about that. I accidentally muted myself. On May 28th, a total of 15 notifications were sent to neighbors within a 300-foot radius of the project parcel's property boundary. Staff has only received 1 comment from 1 neighbor, and this neighbor asked the applicant to correct the owner label on their plat, which they have, and to ensure that the applicant does not build along the western side of the creek as they have stated on the plat. We were assured by the applicant that they did not plan to build along the western border. Staff has reviewed the submitted plans and conferred with the jurisdictional reviewers and has determined that the plans submitted do meet the requirements for preliminary subdivision approval with these following conditions, and these conditions have not changed since the time of your staff report. Any questions?
I guess mine see that because they're bigger lots and you've got that creek, theoretically, they could be split in the future, or are we barring that split because they can't build on the left?
I would say that we're barring tract one for sure, because that little lot on the western side is probably too small to build anything.
On track 2, though, it's 4 acres, and theoretically they could split
Mhm.
off that west side, but I think we need to.
I think the cost, honestly, I think the cost of building a driveway through the floodplain would be prohibitive for anybody who would want to build along there. It is pretty slopey. I think it would cost a little bit theoretically. Yes, somebody could split it in the future. Same with track 3 and potentially
Yeah.
build, a house back there.
I don't
But
know
that
what
would
the
have to,
Yeah, I don't know how the rest of the panel feels about it, but I think we might ought to restrict that. But we can go further and see how everybody else feels.
Mhm.
So isn't it designated as unbuildable,
That's what I'm saying. Unsplittable and unbuildable. Yeah,
unsplittable? Okay.
yeah.
Well, they could possibly sell it to a neighbor or something.
Yeah, then they have to come back in and get it approved, I guess.
Mhm.
All right. Any comments from Ms. Gaston? Are you still on? I assume she's been waiting patiently.
Yes, just a moment.
Okay.
Hello?
Colleen, go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate your time, and I won't repeat my name and address. I hope you have that. Or should I? I'm Colleen
No.
Gass. Pardon?
You're good.
Okay. I did previously speak with Mr. Crouch and Ms. Nathathon. I had hoped to get something to you in writing, but I've just had unexpectedly demanding a couple of work days. I guess I'm going to where the Commissioner Laney left off, and I would like to see future splitting of those tracks 1, 2, and 3. I think that would be in the best interest of the county, and given that this stream, sizable stream, the drainage area is 968 acres. I think besides having a difficulty just building on the west side of the creek, there'd be crossings of that creek. And I don't know if that would be allowable. So for those reasons, I would echo the sentiment of restricting future splits of those 3 lots.
I don't know if it's a,
Representative is on the line as well. Joe Pfeiffer. I'm not sure if he has a comment or wants
well,
to.
did she finish or did she just drop? I think her cell may have dropped. Ms. Gaston, are you still there?
Like she is.
Okay, we can come back to her in a minute, see if she wants to finish. Her cell must be bad. You said you had another hand up?
Go ahead, Joe.
Yes, this is Joe Pfeiffer with Craft and Toll, here on behalf of the client. I just really have a question. If you haven't proceeded any further, so I might be speaking out of turn, but we added the label to those 3 lots as unbuildable at the request of the county engineer. We don't have any plans to build over there at this time because really we have no access through there in the event of an emergency. They wouldn't be able to get on that side of the creek. We thought that's what the note was covering. As far as splitting the property, if you just blanketly say that for those 3 tracks, would that not bar if they wanted to split it on the east side and they still had some lots that would comply with the county code? we would still have to bring the plat through the county at that time, and you would be able to make a decision whether or not, I'm not saying that's their intention. Right now, their intention is just to build 6 homes, but if you just put the blanket split, I would just wonder how that would affect how it develops in the future.
Yeah, I see what you're saying on the track 2, it's 4 acres, so there might be 2 1-acre lots east of the Mud Creek, but on 3, that wouldn't be possible to look like. And it looked like on track 1, either one, there's enough land. So the only one you could possibly split east would be track 2, and have 2 1-acre lots.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
that's what Madison would be also. Subdivision lots come in, down
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
with the CP.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm good if they're unbuildable. I mean, that works for me, whatever
We
the phrase.
Not where they can't split them west of the floodplain would just
Yeah.
be an idea, not a recommendation or suggestion, just an idea. But
Well,
But would,
if
sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm butting in here, but if it was, you got 240 feet north to south, and if you split them 120 foot, either way, you could make, over an acre and a 1 point whatever acre lots. Are we trying to keep from allowing that, or are we just trying to make sure it's not buildable on that side and no access is made to the house?
Yeah, good point.
I think
guess I would-
I think the unbuildable node is sufficient for now.
Yeah. Is there any other hands up, moderator? Okay. So if we had a motion and we want to include to make it clear about the buildability
Pauline
of the,
Gaston has got
Whoops.
her hand back up.
okay. We may have lost her a minute ago on her cell. Go ahead, Ms. Gaston. Ms. Gaston, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? I'm sorry too. I part of what was being said. I guess I temporarily lost internet service. So would you mind just repeating what the consideration is? I don't know if it's a formal motion. And I'm sorry I got dropped off.
Yeah, if your comments did not get cut off, we understand you're concerned about buildability on the west side. We've just been discussing that as a board. We don't have a motion yet.
Okay. I mean, I was going to say some more, but that's my main concern. And,
Okay.
and preservation of the vegetation to some extent along the creeks, as they already committed that they would do in their letter of May 24th or April 24th.
Okay, is there any further discussion on the board? I would entertain a motion if there isn't. You have to unmute yourself.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
And as presented, does that include that? You think the presentation, Nathan, covers the buildability on the west side?
I believe the note on the plat is sufficient, and anyone who buys the lot in that subdivision would present
No. Okay.
that. And
So the note is binding? The note is binding on the plat?
one more time, Walter.
The note on the plat that the west side shall be unbuildable is binding?
It's a note on the plat. If we're talking about binding and if it's enforceable, I'm not terribly certain how that works. To be perfectly honest, I'm not sure. But I believe that if someone were to buy that lot and someone else were to and want to build over on the west side, then that would be a civil matter between that property owner and the person.
I think the better thing to do it's sort of a belt and suspenders approach, would be to add another condition that the property west of the flood zone shall be unbuildable.
Bob, instead of going all the way through the amendment process, would you agree to include that in your
Yes,
motion?
I would agree to do that.
Who was the second? Joel, were you the second?
Yes, I'll second.
All right. All right, we got a motion and second with that included as a condition. No building on the west side.
Did we go ahead and get that thumbs up from the representative,
From who?
from the engineer?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, we're fine with that.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, good. Bridgewater is passed. Magnolia Acres preliminary subdivision. This is Sita, you're on a roll.
Magnolia Acres. There we go. All right, the Magnolia Acres preliminary subdivision request is located within the eastern side of the county. Here's the area that the project parcel is in. Here's a bit of a closer look. The applicant is being represented by Bates and Associates. They are seeking approval to develop a 10 lot subdivision from a 71.39 acre lot. Here's a little bit of a closer view of the proposed lot configurations. The lots range from around 3 acres to almost 10 acres in size. The project parcel is located between the cities of Goshen, Fayetteville, and Elkins. It is not within any of the city's planning area. The shaded areas on the screen represent the planning areas, and the dark gray are the cities. Just to give you the planning board an idea of what subdivision developments are in the area, the purple represents a ½ mile, and the green is 1 mile. Each of the lots was found to be suitable for a standard septic system. Permitting and design will have to be conducted through the Arkansas Department of Health. I haven't received any comments supporting or opposing this project. On May 20th, staff conducted a site visit. The area is very rural. The project location is very undeveloped and mostly undisturbed. And staff has reviewed the submitted plans and conferred with the jurisdictional reviewers and has determined that the plans submitted do meet the requirements for preliminary subdivision approval with the following conditions. And these conditions have not changed since the time of your staff report from last week. Any questions?
Questions of the board? Anybody? Okay, Juliana, any hands up from the public? All right.
No hands up.
All right. Board, what's your pleasure on Magnolia Acres?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the Magnolia Acres preliminary subdivision with staff recommendations and requirements.
All right.
Second.
Motion and Walter second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, go on to Weddington Self-Storage pre-large scale development. Sita again.
Okay. Oops, let me just full screen this. Here we go. The Weddington Self-Storage Preliminary Large-Scale Development Request is located within the western central area of the county. Here's the area that the project is in. And here's a close-up of all the parcels involved. Please note that there are some of these parcels are within the city of Fayetteville. The project parcels are basically within the city of Fayetteville's planning area. The two that are in the county in the planning area are in red on the screen. These literally touch the city boundary, and they're about 1/10 of a mile away from Weddington Drive. The applicant is represented by Bates and Associates. They came before the planning board for a conditional use permit at the December 12th, 2019 planning board meeting. The planning board members in attendance approved the CUP. The Washington County Quorum Court ratified the CUP at the December 19th, 2019 meeting. And just to quickly recap, because it's been a while, the applicant is seeking approval to develop self-storage units in phases. Phase 1 will consist of 6 buildings containing a total of 435 units. Phase 2 will consist of an additional 6 buildings and contain 439 spaces. Phase 2 will be developed at a later date once the applicant has completed phase 1 and is able to invest its earnings back into the development. Phase 1 is the stuff in blue, and phase 2 is along the western side in yellow. On May 20th, a site visit was conducted. Staff was unable to set foot upon this property due to the lack of curb cutouts and not wanting to bother any of the neighbors by parking in their property or hopping the curb and having to park on the sidewalk. So here's kind of what the area looks like from a nearby adjacent farm, cobblestone farm. And this picture was the best that we could do, and this was taken during the CUP process. It hasn't changed much over the course of the last few months. It's greener due to the warmer weather. Since the property will be utilizing Weddington Drive, permits to connect to Weddington for access will have to process through the Department of the Arkansas Department of Transportation. So we're looking at the area that's kind of in the dotted box up top. There is a tree line up there. As we did the site visit, we did note that the tree line right now is pretty dense. It was hard for us to see through. And the tree line is depicted on page 10. The applicant plans to plant trees in the front of the property that's facing Weddington Drive. The applicant is also proposing 2 bioretention ponds. A smaller one will be located along the southwestern portion of the development, and a larger one will be located north of the development. They're represented by X's as best as I could. And the drainage design and plans were reviewed by the county contracted engineer from Garver. And he found the design and the plans to be sufficient. At this time, the applicant has not conducted a soil analysis for septic. The applicant has mentioned that they are unsure of whether or not they will have an on-site manager 24/7. If they do decide to have an overnight manager, then they will install restrooms and septic or have to connect to the city of Fayetteville. The Washington County contract engineer has stated that installing septic lines will not alter the drainage. Therefore, a drainage manual will not have to be reviewed again. Should the applicant require sewer, they will have to seek permitting and approval from either the Department of Health or the City of Fayetteville. And this should occur before the applicant files for large scale. On May 28th, 14 surrounding property neighbors that were within 300 feet of the project parcel's boundaries were mailed notifications. To date, we have not received any comments in support or in opposition of the project. Staff has reviewed the submitted plans and we've conferred with the jurisdictional reviewers, and we've determined that the plans that have been submitted do meet the requirements for preliminary large-scale development approval with these following conditions, and these conditions have not changed since the time of your staff report. Any questions?
Any questions of the board?
Okay, just for clarification, Sita,
Mhm.
this
Yes.
is pre-LSD. When it comes
Yes,
for large scale, then we'll have a better understanding of the on-site manager if they're gonna.
yes, if they're gonna have one. I wanted to include it in the presentation, that way they won't have to come back through preliminary. If they do decide to do it or not, we'll just put it as a condition. If they do have one, they have to go through the permitting process for septic or sewer.
Okay.
I got a little confused. Is it part of the city of Fayetteville now or not? And do they do anything?
Part of it is and part of it isn't. Let me just go back a little bit and
But so did, my only question is, what did they have to say, if anything, city of Fayetteville?
I don't think the city of Fayetteville had any issues as far as I know. They didn't have any comments regarding CUP or the preliminary large scale.
Okay. Okay. Any input from the public, moderator?
I don't see any hands up.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll close the public comment period and look for a motion from the board.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the Weddington self-storage with subject to staff recommendations.
Second.
Motion to second for approval of preliminary large scale development. Self-storage. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Any other business, Nathan, that you're aware of? Okay, I say a shaking head no. Motion to adjourn would be in order.
Hey, I got one question.
Oh.
If Nathan, do we have any idea, looking into the future, of when we possibly could have an in-person meeting at this point?
Still playing it month by month right now, and I asked that question directly after the last meeting, and they were unsure. We may do an in-person meeting on June 11th, and then a couple weeks ago, what with the numbers rising with the virus and everything, said let's just go ahead and do another Zoom. And so honestly, I'll ask that question again here in another couple weeks of the judge, and once I get that answered, then I'll let everyone know.
And that July date is what?
23rd.
All right. All right. Anything else? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep.
Good night.